Hi everyone, my name is Ahmad Ashrafi, and today we have a really cool and unique entrepreneur with us. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's awesome to connect with you.
Likewise, and you called me out for being late, so I know you're extremely punctual and you have you must be a very value-oriented person. I apologize again. Tell us about why you do what you do.
Passionate about connecting people like you, people like myself, people that are creating greatness in their lives. And I know, I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons that you created a podcast is to impact others, right? So my whole purpose is to continue expanding and connecting people. And I'll give you a good example. I just left that meeting, like I told you, and I took an Uber back to my place. And he had dreams, he had aspirations, and it's my duty as a leader to ask him, what are you working on? How can I support you? How do you need help? And he had so many things he wanted to do and things he needed to help with, like with credit, with taxes, and being part of a community. He told me that he feels alone, that he doesn't have the right people around him. And I told him, well, you met the best person that you could ever meet. And immediately, once he dropped me off, I gave him a couple of different accounts to follow, and I invited him to Epic Talks. So that's what life is all about, is about being of service. And I'm a true believer that God picks people like us because he trusts that we're gonna go out there and help other people. It's not about me, it's about other people. How can I help other people become better and do better?
That's a beautiful answer. I think I couldn't agree with you more. I think we're put in this world to serve and to help others. And the way that you explained it of having impact and building community. When do you feel that you got that consciousness? Was it something that you always were ingrained? Or when in your career did you make that realization?
Knew that I was meant for greatness. And why do I say that? Because of my past. And I'm a true believer that God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. And ever since I was little, I just had this discernment. And I was born into heroin addicted parents. I went into the foster care system at the age of 3. I've been on my own since I was 15 years old. I've been homeless, lived out of my Toyota Corolla outside of a Walmart parking lot. Got kicked out of high school, told by my principal that I was just another Latina statistic who would never amount to anything. And for me, I just knew that things don't happen to me, they happen for me. And I don't know what it was, maybe my mother's prayers, or I was just super blessed, but I just knew I was special. And I never allowed anything that I went through to stop me from what I want to accomplish. And anything that I've ever said that I want to do, I've always done.
Amazing. Wow, it's incredible, and thank you for sharing that background. I think it's absolutely remarkable because there's so many people that don't have such a hard time, and they use that as a excuse or a complaint to not get to where they are, and then you use it as fuel, or perhaps even as a like you said, a challenge to overcome, and really become who you've become, and your success that you've had. So I think it's like super powerful and enlightening what you how did you how did you so what do you feel? You said you were put in this world for greatness. How
Mhm.
did you come to that confidence? Because I think a lot of people have a hard time saying that I am great. I am here to do something special. I am here to. Some people are like, they kind of don't know that. How did that come about?
I'm a true believer that you're a product of your environment. And most people don't feel that way because they're carrying their family's traumas, their family's past, their family's insecurities, their family's lessons. And most people take whatever their family says and takes advice from them. And majority of people, their family doesn't have the life that they want. They don't have the relationships that they want. They don't have the bank account that they want. They don't, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So stop taking advice from people that are not where you want to be. And I just always knew that I didn't want to be like my biological parents who were heroin addicts at the time. My mother became a minister. She's an amazing woman. She was able to overcome that. My father died of a heroin overdose 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So you have one person that decided to step into their greatness and change their life, and then you had the other one that couldn't overcome it. So what do I want to be? Like my mom or like my dad? I just always knew that I never wanted to follow in their footsteps, and coming from the foster care system, I'm grateful for the family that brought me into their home because they taught me about God. I don't necessarily agree with the way that I was raised. However, I just knew I didn't want to be like them either. You know, I'll still carry my teachings of God, and I'm a true believer that I am nothing without God, and all of this has been divine. And the only reason that I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm creating what I'm creating is because God is at the forefront of my life. He gives me the vision and he gives me the execution. And without him, I am nothing. And for people that want to create greatness in their life, if they don't honor him, you will feel empty. So I'm super passionate about that.
Love it. I think that you, I feel very connected, and I see the same way. I actually talk to people of how I spend my time. And I try to say, or what I try to do is spend 33% of the time with people that are above me, 33% with people that are equal to me, and 33% of people that are maybe more junior than me. And I think what you just mentioned about you, sometimes maybe your family or friends, they can be your peers, that 33%. But if you don't, and God included is in the above, it's like if you don't spend 33% of your time above with mentors, with people that you admire, people that you seek to be, and God, you're missing out on like the most important part. And then and alternatively, if you don't spend with juniors, you're also not empowering those teachings, or at least pulling people or being a leader in your community, which I think is ultra important, and why people don't get to flourish like you have.
Yeah, I love that you're saying this because I actually have I have a signature talk that I'm getting ready to introduce to the world, and it's about the power of adoption. Okay, and not just adoption from being a foster child, but adoption into a community, adoption into being heard, into being understood, into being part of something greater than you. And my 3 trilogy steps are mentors, peers, and mentees. Without mentors, we're no one, right? I love having the opportunity to have mentors. First, my first mentor is God. I've had Tim Story, I've had Chris Lee, I've had James Malinchak, I've had the CEO of Aspire Tours, Nick Ham. So many incredible mentors throughout the years of me building what I'm building. And I feel like I haven't even started yet, right? So the power of investing in yourself and having people like that, and surrounding yourself in the right communities. Like 10 years ago, I joined The Millionaire Mom with T. Harv Eker, Peak Potentials, right? I found myself in a really dark place, and I found out about personal development, and I made it my religion. And I went to this event, and it changed my life. I remember seeing an ad on Facebook that said, reignite your life, your finances, your future, free ticket. And I was thinking to myself, free ticket, what is this, a cult, right? So I contacted a girlfriend of mine, Alexi Panos. I called her and I was like, Alexi, have you ever heard of this event called Peak Potentials, The Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker? She goes, no. But if there's one positive thing that you get out of it, it's a win situation. When she said that, it so resonated with me. I bought my plane ticket, I bought my hotel, and I went to this free event. Those 3 days changed my life. Did I end up investing almost $10,000 at the end of the event because they were trying to sell me something? Absolutely. But it was the best investment I've ever made in my life. I ended up spending 2 years going to their courses. Every 2 to 3 months, I would go to like Warrior Camp, Investor Camp, Train the Trainer, Stock Camp, you name it. They would offer everything, right? Speaker camp. And I said to God, I was like, Lord, if this changed my life, how can I change other people's lives with what I've learned? And at the time I was in medical sales. And I remember one time I was thinking, I was like, I want to be a speaker. I want to be an author. I want to be a radio show host. I want to have my own events. How am I going to do it? I don't even know. But I just knew about planting that seed. And I'm a true believer that God doesn't give you a vision that you can't execute. So if you have a vision, if you have something that you really want to do, and it's already in your mind, it's because God has planted it there. So start watering it, right? And how did I start watering it? I moved back to Miami and I started going to networking events, and I started this little community called Backpack Attack where I would get backpacks from underprivileged kids and the homeless. I would go to the dollar store, I would go to Target, I would go to Walmart with my own money and just fill it, and I would just go to the homeless, and then I would go to schools, and then I would go to foster kids because I was a foster child. And I was like, okay, there's more to this, because every time I would leave those places, I would leave so fulfilled to the point that I would cry because of the fulfillment that I would feel. I was one of those kids. I was homeless. I was this. How much that would have helped me if somebody came to me and gifted me books and socks and toothpaste, right? So then I was walking over the bridge in Brickell, and I was like, man, I think I'm going to leave Miami because I'm not finding what I'm looking for. And it was in that moment that God said, no, it's not here, so you're going to create it. So from the moment that I had my first idea of Epic Talks to the moment that I had my first event was only 3 days.
Wow.
So I'd never spoken ever on a stage in my life. And I told one of my girlfriends, she's a law professor at the University of Miami, and I was like, Alicia, I'm about to do an event, and I'm going to call it Epic Masters. At the time, it wasn't even called Epic Talks. I'm going to call it Epic Masters. And she goes, okay, well, what do you want me to do? I was like, well, I've never spoken on stage. You're used to speaking to students. So how about I bring you, and then I'll piggyback off. I was scared, you know what I mean? So she goes, okay. She thought I was BSing. So I took a picture of her, I took a picture of myself, and I went on Canva and created this little flyer. It was horrible. If you were to see a flyer back then and a flyer now, actually, I should do a post about that. It's completely different. And then I rented a ballroom. I went to Whole Foods and I got a couple bottles of wine, cheese and cracker, for the networking part. And I waited. I just waited. And 15 people showed up to my first event. I missed an important part. I printed out those flyers. I went to FedEx Kinko, printed out 100 of them, and I started going around downtown and around Brickell area and in my building and passing it out. And then I waited, and it was a Wednesday. I'll never forget. It was the last Wednesday of the month, which is the reason why I have Epic Talks the last Wednesday of the month. And 15 people showed up to my event. 8 of those were my friends. But still, I remember my story, sharing my story, how I was a foster child, born into heroin addicted parents, and all these cool stories, because I look at my life and I have some pretty cool stories. And I wouldn't be who I am without them. And it was in that moment that I said, okay, this is what I'm meant to do for the rest of my life. And my second event, I ended up partnering up with Jason Stone, Andres Ospinas, Luis Escobar. And I told them, hey guys, you want a stage to speak on? They're like, yeah. And I brought them, and we brought in 120 people. And then I continued growing Epic Talks, and it's become the #1 entrepreneurship event in Miami.
Amazing. I am so inspired with your story and how you told it, and how you've really flipped the switch on many words and experiences. I loved how you just mentioned how you adopt a community. It's not adoption only in the foster care area, but it's also adoption into, a lot of people in Miami, a lot of people in the States. Immigration is such a big problem, but at the same time, so many immigrants are here, and they adopt the community. They adopt the community that adopts them. And what you did is you created your community. And I also think that another thing that I really learned from doing these podcasts, and a lot of people, like you just mentioned, your first flyer was horrible. And I have this saying that we're all born ugly, but then we turn to what we are, and how you created Epic is unbelievable and very inspiring.
Thank you.
What do you think because you did from ideation to execution in 3 days? This is something amazing. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs are stuck in the ideation, or they have a bad idea, so they don't really execute, or they have a really great idea, but they don't execute. What other problems do you see that entrepreneurs are making now?
They ask before they serve. I'm a true believer that add value before you ask. And a lot of people come to me, hey, I'm coming to support your event. Where can I get my free ticket? Hey, can you connect me with this person? Hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Can you da da da? And I'm just like, wow, I ignore messages like that. Now, if you come from a place of service, hey, Melitsa, or let's say, hey, Ahmad, I just saw you posted about your event. It's a topic that I'm totally interested in. I'm bringing 5 people that just purchased tickets. Would you be willing to cop me a ticket? People don't understand, or maybe they're just oblivious, but I paid for my events out of pocket. You know what I mean? I'm just now starting to get sponsors because I just didn't decide, oh, let me get a whole bunch of sponsors. That's not the way I was thinking. I was like, let me invest into my events and add value to people. Now, thank God, I just got an amazing sponsor, High Level. I don't know if you know who High Level is, but they're the #1 CRM platform in the world that helps businesses execute. It's a one-stop shop, for your funnels, for lead generation, for ads, for website, you name it. And they're just now launching a whole bunch of different AI opportunities for you to add into your CRM. That's just mind-blowing. So they've become the #1 sponsor for Epic Talks now. So I'm super grateful for that. But still, it takes a lot of time and a lot of staff and a lot of people and investing to execute these events. So when people are coming from a place of taking and not giving, that's the biggest mistake people are making
I love it.
as entrepreneurs.
And I can put myself in your shoes in that first event, like waiting for someone to open the door. And when they opened the door, you probably thought that they were lost. Or maybe they didn't, or 8 of them were your friends. And really that's like those gave to you. But I do agree with you that too many entrepreneurs are focused on the what's in it for me more than what's in it for what can I provide? What am I bringing to the table? What am I valuing? And there's a very famous quote is that this generation knows the price of everything, but the value of nothing. And I think it's really resonated with what you just mentioned of people are asking for kind of like an entitled way of, hey, I want to go to your event, so you should be comped. Whereas if you're saying like, hey, I want to be part of this, I'm bringing 5 people, I can bring a speaker, I can bring whatever, like, can we do this and really give?
It goes a long way, believe it or not. And I remember everything too. So, so yeah, like add value before you ask to be on my stage or come to my events for free. And I'm pretty sure the same thing with you. Like I would want to know how to add value to you.
For sure. I actually do this podcast selfishly because I love listening to people's stories. I love learning from other people. And like I said before, that 33%, to me, the podcast guests are always those mentors that give you lessons, and the listeners and the viewers of this take those lessons as well. So, but I do it selfishly because I learn more than more than anyone. I think let's move on to like investing, because so this is another subject of sort of like what you mentioned before, that parents teach you do this and you need to do it that way, and they're stuck in their ways. And I help entrepreneurs invest and access like high quality real estate or high quality, high barrier to entry spaces. And the most I see that as the most barrier to themselves. Like they're like, oh, my parents always said that you needed to put money into your 401k. That's it. How do you feel that? How do you see investing, and what do you do personally?
Well, it's funny because I did not grow up with a family that would ever talk about money or would ever talk about investing. So I started investing in real estate at a very young age. I started a company called Visual Investments where I was flipping properties and, purchasing them cash and then flipping them and making a quick profit, like 2 to 3 months. So that's where I started investing. So you can never lose with real estate. And also, right now, I invest a lot in myself, in my personal development, and also in my business. And having these investments is definitely paying off. You know what I mean? My company continues to grow every single year, and that's my main focus right now is investing in my own business and in myself.
What got you into flipping?
I remember back in the day, those TV shows were really popular. The the flipping houses, and then you make like 150, $200,000 profit from going into house, demolishing it, and so that was really hot at the time, and I wanted to get into it, and I thought I was gonna have my own show and all that stuff, but things turned out differently. But it at the time it just looked good.
I love it because what I'm gathering from you is that you're a doer.
Yes.
And definitely I bet, I hope there's a statistic of how many people watched those shows and actually went and did it. It's probably you and five others. Like I'm sure it's a very, very small community of people that are actually like, oh, this is a way to make money. This is
Mhm.
amazing. This is beautiful. I beautify a house. I can improve the neighborhood and then
Huh?
flip this for a profit. Like,
Yeah.
it almost feels like too good to be true.
Huh?
But people are stuck in their ways and say, no, it's nice for them, but not for me.
It's so fulfilling too. Like once you see the work of your labor and it's done, and then you have somebody else come and purchase the home, and it's their dream home or whatever it may be, right? It's really fulfilling, And I believe that that's with everything in life. When you put your all into anything that you want to do, and the results, and you have results, it's just like, to me, that's fulfillment. Fulfillment, fulfillment. Yeah. That's the purpose of life, is to have fulfillment and freedom.
Yeah. And I think like maybe taking back what we were discussing at the beginning is like the service, and once you serve, you're fulfilled.
Absolutely.
And another thing that I gathered from you, that you said investing in yourself, investing in your businesses, does that mean you don't spend in other things?
Absolutely. I love to enjoy life. I'm an adventurous woman. I've traveled the world. I like fishing. I've been hunting before. Anything that I've hunted, I've ate. So I don't really share that much on social media, but I love working out. I've been a fitness competitor, champion. I'm a true believer that you get to challenge yourself and create an adventurous life. You only live once. I'm the kind of person that if I don't have something going on, hey, I'm in Tokyo, come and meet me here. Like, I will book my flight and go. I'm the yes person. I've had a friend of mine, James Abrams, and he goes, Melitsa, you're just like the yes person. Anything that, if it's obviously in alignment with who I am, I say yes to. And I live life that way, and I say yes to people. I love people. I love meeting new people. Some people, they're jaded because they've met a lot of bad people, but there's a lot of good people out there that want to do good, and it's our duty to meet those people and involve ourselves with them.
I see that you are, like I said, you're the one that the ultimate flip the switch. If something is bad, it's good. It's no, if you had a bad experience, it's all, so that you find the good right person. If you didn't find the community, you built it. So I really gather how empowered you feel because you can flip the switch. You don't have to take the narrative. You don't have to take the word adoption as something a little bit taboo, maybe altruistic, but really it's a bigger
That's
word
my
and it's very positive.
superpower.
Sorry, yeah,
For me, it's my
exactly.
superpower. Having the past that I've had, it's a superpower, and it's a beautiful thing. And I believe that every person that's had a difficult past, they should use that as a superpower, not something that they are ashamed of. And I'll give you a good example. Every morning I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in a prayer group from Monday through Friday. It's 20-minute prayer. And then after that, I spend an hour with God. I put on Joyce Mayer. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's an incredible minister. And she was raped from 3 years old to 18 years old by her dad, her grandpa, and her uncle. Molested
Goodness.
all those years, and she has been liberated. She's one of the top ministers in the world, and she says, I wish I wouldn't have gone through what I went through, but I know that I God allowed me to go through this so I can help little girls that are going through that right now. So I can show them the way that you could be liberated through God and Jesus Christ. And her sharing her story the way she does, and she was able to baptize her father and forgive him, you know? And her mother even knew about it, and her mother didn't do anything about it because she didn't want to cause any shame to the family. So imagine somebody that has gone through something way worse than what I went through, because for me, I don't even think what I went through was bad compared to what she went through. But look at what she's done, and look at how many millions of lives she's impacting with her story. So for me, you're not a victim of your circumstances, you're a victor of your circumstances. And for anyone out there that is ashamed of their past or what they're going through, let that be the fire, right, in your life to help you help other people and transform their lives.
Absolutely. And it's also like being authentic, owning it, because you can't hide it. You can pretend that nothing of that happened, but that's not it's almost like you're putting weights on your cape, that you can't fly with this, because now that you own it and you say it proudly, and it's almost like, you can't hide the sun, because these things happen to you, and it made you who you are. Owning it and being authentic and telling these stories, and then showing how you didn't become the victim. You became the hero of your story, and you were able to choose that role, is empowering, and I'm very, very inspired with what you're saying.
Thank you.
What about what's next for you? What's the next frontier? You're already doing great things. What do you want to conquer?
I want to bring more people to God, through my work. That's really important for me right now. 5 months ago, I was finding myself like a little lost. And even though I'm building my business, and I wasn't putting him at the forefront of my life. And ever since I joined this prayer group and I started making him first in my life, there's so much clarity and so many doors opening. I'm in collaboration with Aspire Tours. I just got High Level as one of my sponsors. Tim Story is a mentor of mine, and just the people that are in my life, like, it's mind-blowing if you really think about it, the access to the people that I have. And I'm a true believer is when you get closer to God and you pray, you will listen and you will hear and have faith. You know what I mean? Every time, I'm pretty sure if you're having a difficult time, your mom is probably praying for you. God, my son Ahmad, Lord, please help him. Your mom is praying. My mom is praying. Your dad is praying. Your sister is praying. Anytime something goes wrong or somebody's about to die, or you have a friend that's on life support, your family and your friends, God, I'm asking for prayer. So I'm not saying to become religious. I'm not saying to become like, oh, go to church. No, I'm not saying that. It's just bringing people to know that there is a higher power. And that higher power is not called the universe. It's called God. And that's why I'm a true believer that I'm having the success that I'm having, is because God is using me as a vessel to take his message to the world. And as I continue to grow, we're going global. And my goal is to have, Google, GoDaddy, WeWork, these kind of sponsors at my events, along with High Level. So I'm thinking big, and I don't have time to think small.
This is incredible and very refreshing, actually, because I find that I had a conversation a few months ago with someone who was mentioning that Miami is becoming a little bit too materialistic, or the world has
Always
become.
been like that. Anywhere you go, anywhere, Beverly Hills, New York City, right? So people that speak like that, that is a limiting mindset, right? Just like they say, oh, it's hard to date in Miami. It's hard to date in New York. It's hard to date in LA. It's hard to date anywhere you go. You know when it doesn't become hard? When you're in alignment with who you are, then you start attracting the people that are in your same alignment.
And then it's easy.
It's not that it's easy, but you just trust that whatever's coming to you, you attracted it because you're in alignment. Right. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's like, if you were to think about it, I've lived in all these places: Dubai, New York City, Orange County, California, Las Vegas. Anywhere that there's money, there's Lambos, there's Louis Vuittons, there's Ferraris, there's you name it, nice things. People that make money, we get to reward ourselves, and we like nice things, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to work my ass off so I can buy what I want. It's not that I'm becoming materialistic. I'm actually not a materialistic girl. But do I not, I like nice things? Yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah. And I think it's refreshing, like I was saying, that yes, there is the materialism and it's nice things as well, but there's also this conversation, and you'd be surprised how many people are that I've spoken to have this like deep connection to gratitude, have this deep connection to a spiritual life, have this deep connection to something superior. And it's really, what I find it as incredibly refreshing, that it's not a generation that doesn't believe in anything. It's actually a generation that is talking more and more and more about being connected to God, being connected to that, doing what they're doing is worshiping God too. Like that's why they put their best foot forward. That's why they do excellence in all things.
Absolutely. It's also a generation that's very lost. And it's our duty as leaders to bring people forth and to show them, be a beacon of hope to humanity. I mean, especially with everything that's going on with, the elections and people shooting each other for it, and, you know, President Trump almost getting killed a couple times, and, the war against him and Kamala. And I wish that they would share more about the power of community, whether you're for them or against them. Hey, you're a Kamala believer, I still got your back. We just have different views. Hey, you're a Trump believer, I still got your back. We have different views. Instead, people are going at war, right? So I think it's our duty to bring peace and to continue doing what we're doing and bringing peace regardless of your beliefs.
Exactly. Unity. So at the end, we're all in the same boat. So we need to float. We can't kill each other. We already have other things to worry about. And if we're not united and at peace and also respectful and accepting and open-minded, um, that's how you. It's like the demise. That's the recipe for disaster. And I was reading a few years ago a book about how Washington used to be in Lincoln era, and I didn't know that they used to live in like dorms. Like congressmen used to live in dorms together on both sides of the aisle, so they were friends outside of. So they ate together, they were united. And if they opposed thoughts, it was what's for the greater good. It wasn't like, oh, because you think anything you believe, I'm against it, and whatever. And now they're like, there's even like restaurants in Washington that are either Democrat or Republican, and really it's like if they see you in that restaurant, you're already labeled, and they already create such a big divide. So I think it's, like you just mentioned, a responsibility to bring people together and say, like, it's okay if you don't think like I think, because I respect who you are and I want to know your reasons so that I can make up my own mind, because you must know something that I don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to end the podcast with, even though this was super inspirational and incredibly rewarding, with asking you what inspires you to do the work that you do.
I just want to make sure that nobody feels alone in this journey. I know how hard it is to build a business. I know what it is to feel abandoned. I know what it is to feel homeless, to be homeless. I know what it is to feel forsaken, and I know what it is to want to commit suicide. I just want to make sure that anybody that comes in contact with me, that they feel that there's hope for them and that I'm not going to let them do this alone.
I don't want to say anything else. That's incredibly powerful. And I want to thank you again for being here. It was a very, very refreshing, incredibly inspiring story you have. I'm excited to see you in a few years, and please come back to the podcast.
Are you based in Miami?
I am based in Miami, so we
Okay,
can.
so you get to come to Epic Talks next week then. I'd love to gift you a VIP ticket.
I would love to come. I am absolutely there, and I definitely want to see your journey because I think you're like a rocket. You are a force to be reckoned with, and I'm sure that I'll meet you next week, and then in the years coming, you'll do great things. So I definitely want to see where you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ahmad, for your time.
Of course, thank you for being here.
Thanks. Bye.